To the video, and if you're new, welcome to the channel. Today, as I suppose you probably have gathered, that always I'm building something new, and I'm attempting to build another resin pour table. It's not another for me, it's my first time, I've never done it, but it's another one. There are probably plenty of videos, and this is probably not one you want to follow if you want clear directions on how to do it, because again, I've never done this and I don't really know what I'm doing. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you would probably gather that I'm not really an expert in anything, but I just give everything a go. So let's see how this one goes, and this is the plan. I bought these metal legs, they're upside down, they've got little bits in the bottom that turn around and go on the floor, etc. So I quite like that metal leg. That's what they're going to go on. I've had those for months, but just never got round to buying some wood. So then, obviously I bought some wood. Now, one thing I would 1000% recommend is do not go to a hardware store. So don't go to your Home Depot, B&Q, whatever. Try and find a sawmill, because you will get way better prices than you would going to a normal consumer store. Now, fortunately, about 10 minutes down the road, I have a sawmill. Perfect. So I went down there, and one of the reasons I've been putting this off is because I thought it's going to cost me a fortune to actually build this, but I was completely wrong. So the legs probably cost me about 60 euros, and then I've got the resin. I've had the resin for far too long because I've got another project as well, obviously. And then I thought I'm going to go get the wood. So I went to go get the wood, and I said, how much is it going to cost? I want 1.5 meters by about 50 centimeters, so at least I can then work out, I cut the bits out of it. I need both living edge and both oak, and they cost me 60 euros, which at the moment is about $60 as well, which is an absolute bargain considering the price of wood. So I was pretty pleased. And this is one of the slabs. So you can see again, full living edge, everything's on this, and it's thick. Look at the thickness of this. That is a thick bit of wood. So what I've actually done, and they're in my house mainly because downstairs, all my workshop stuff in the garage, the weather's pretty sack. I'm not doing it in my house, but the weather is pretty sack. So that means if I do it in my garage, I need to actually do it outside of my garage, because all my car stuff's in my garage for my car projects. Yeah, so I'm going to do it out the back. Well, I've been drying out the wood, so the wood has obviously been sitting outside of the sawmill for however long it has been. So I've been wanting to make sure that it does sufficiently dry out within my house. So I've left it for a few days, which is really annoying, to be fair, because I've just been staring at the wood wanting to do something with it. Anyway, now it's ready. Obviously a new project means new tools, and the Ryobi stuff's okay. I mean, value for money wise, it's pretty good. This stuff is really thick, and it's really dense and hard. Obviously as oak and this is actually red oak, but being a hardwood, it's more difficult to get through. This thing will get through most projects. I mean, that it should get through most projects, but because I've already got Ryobi stuff, I already have this orbital sander, I've already got a number of their different tools. Because they're decent value for money, are they the best? Are they the strongest? No, but again, they're good for home use and what you're probably going to use them for. So I'll pick this up on Black Friday for 75 euros. Bargain. Already had the batteries. Perfect. Now, I'll put a link in the description for the ones I got as well. Go for it. I'd also, in this project, recommend clamps like this, because they're not only good for what I'm doing in cutting this one's already been cut to size, but they're very good for when I want to do things like the mold, when I pour the resin and stuff like that. So those are extremely useful just in general to have. So as many of those as you can get. I've got about 6 of them now, which you will always need. Started with a piece like this, big, and I drew the lines on it where I wanted to cut it out. So you can see I'm going to cut that edge off there, and then I'm going to cut all the way down there, and I'm actually going to keep this inside bit here. So I've scribbled on the bits that I won't be keeping, but I'm going to reuse those for something else in a later project. So I'm going to take this part and just use that. So I will take it outside and cut those to size. So then I'm left with obviously the straight edges and then the living edge for the inside. So I did one of them last night. You can see I didn't chop it on my oak table. I am getting rid of this because that would be my next project, and this is like the tester. If I can do this, I'm going to scale it up and then just make an absolutely massive one with this same sort of material. We'll see what they have at the wood mill. But you can see now I have a clean edge on this side, clean edge on this side, and a clean edge on the end there. And I haven't gone round getting all of this bark stuff off yet. Then I'll have a mock-up of my full tabletop, and then I can decide how wide I want to do it. Yeah, so I'm going to get cracking with the other one outside. So I'm using these things as well. They're like fold-out workbenchy things, what you actually call them. I was told about them by a friend of mine. I put a link in the description because they're friggin' amazing. Not only to just put stuff on and use them this way, but you can put like 4x2s in either side there to create a full-on table, put it over the top. So you can create yourself like the best, most solid table, and then they just fold up. All the legs fold back inside, and it makes them super easy to store in your garage. And it's honestly, and they're rated to like nearly 1,000 kilograms, 998 kilograms across the two, which is like mental. So yeah, these are very useful. I'll put a link in the description to those as well if you give a shit or whatever. And this is the reason why I'm using these clamps in this instance. I want a straight edge. It's just easier to just run across with circular saw. In fact, this is so thick, the circular saw pretty much just goes, leaves about that much at the bottom, which is a bit of a pain, but I can just finish that off with a handsaw, even though my handsaw is absolutely crap, so it's a bit of a workout. But the best way I've found to get the straight edge is to line up the circular saw with the notch there, put the batten on there and clamp it down each side, so it just takes the stress off trying to follow the line manually. That's a stupid ass thing to do. I've done it many times like that, and it just never gets straight. So this way you can just push it on through, you don't have to worry about anything. So again, these are perfect. Bit of wood, job done. Excuse the background noise, garage next door is doing some work, but the best again way I like to do it is when you're doing this, make sure that once you've measured it, it should be about 3.5 I worked out yesterday, so it's about 3.5 each side. Obviously that, it's not currently 3.5, it's too small, so I just need to knock it back, so it is 3.5. You want it to be straight, you want it to be right, you've got to do it right. I always rush these things and it's never a good idea, so make sure it's right. Now that's on there, you can see the guide there where it sits at 0, it sits right between that line, and now I can just cut my way through. This doesn't go all the way through, it leaves it just a bit at the end, but I will take my really shitty handsaw and cut the last bits off. This is why you should get a good handsaw. Actually, it's starting to spit with rain slightly this miserable day, so I'm gonna have to be as quick as possible because I obviously don't want this to get wet for obvious reasons. But I've done this edge, and you can see I've now cut all the way through. Well, I haven't actually cut all the way through, that's a lie. So now I've cut actually the first pass through, because obviously that won't go all the way through, so now I'm just going to finish off with the handsaw, and then I will have my final piece. I finished up the end a little bit, so I took the little burr off the edge at the bottom there, so that's nice and flat. And just cleaned it up slightly so it's a bit neater. So I'll just finish off with the handsaw and then we'll see where we're at. Right, so that's some work, guys. So I've cut all that through. I need to buy a new handsaw. That's not good enough. So I've cut all that through, and I'm left with this actually. This isn't the side I'm using. This is hence the scribbles on it. But this is the leftover. So what I'm actually going to do with this is I'm going to attempt to make not a coffee table, a chopping board, but I'm not going to obviously do that in this one. So if you're interested in seeing me turn this into a block, chopping board, if you're interested in me turning this into a coffee table, Jesus Christ, I can't talk, you know what I mean, chopping board, do the thing, and I'll make one of these soon. It'll be a nice present. Which is where these will actually come massively in handy, because as I stick them together, I'll connect them with these, keep them, you get the picture. I'll add the little squares, connect them together with this, you'll see. So these, you need them. So now we've got our 2 slabs ready for the actual table itself. You can see the difference between the two. I actually took the orbital sander just over the top of this slightly, not massively, but just to make it not like that. But I also did the edge as well. I haven't finished because my battery ran out on my sander, so I need to swap them over, but again you can see the difference between that and that, so I wanted to just tidy it up. So this is probably the configuration I'm going to go for. So fairly close in the middle there, because it will have the channel that runs all the way through the middle here, and it'll be quite a big channel at this end. So that's what I'm going to go for. The next thing I'm going to be doing is cleaning up this side as well. So I'm going to whack my batteries on charge, and then I can clean up this slab and then finish off, because you want to get all of the bits, like any bits of potential bark or, you know, loose stuff in here, get rid of them as much as possible and have a nice clean finish on there. So that's what I'm going to do next. So some people use an angle grinder for that and a wire wheel, but I can't be asked to get my angle grinder out because I don't have a Ryobi one yet. So that's what I'm going to do, whack it on charge, and I'll come back in a bit and I'll finish off, and just the edges on this as well there, I just want to make it just like this one, a bit more presentable, so then I can start looking at building a mold, I suppose, around it, and then yeah, so I'll see you in a sec.